Hey besties, it's Carrie over at Best Friend Central. So while we are waiting for people to log on, I'm going to do Cece's intro and talk to you a little bit about what she'll be covering with us today. So Cece is a beauty culturalist. She is a professional makeup and hair artist. And she is the winner of European Body Art Video Makeup Tutorial in 2016 and nominee for 3rd Annual Streamy Awards. So she has definitely touched a lot of famous faces in her career, and today she's here to talk to us about how to combine beauty and spirituality, how to authentically connect your image with your intuition, and how to use beauty rituals as a way to manifest what you would like to see in your life. So overall, a way to connect who you are on the inside with what you look like, or what how people see you on the outside in a very authentic way. Hi Dagmar, I'm so glad you can join us. So I'm so excited to talk to Cece. She is just such a super approachable person. She's also a history buff when it comes to makeup and hair, which is really fun to read her posts because you learn so much about how we as humans throughout history have really used hair and makeup for so many other things, especially hey Kiki, I'm so excited to talk to your sister today. For so many other things other than for beautification. So we will get into that as well. So let's see when she's gonna log on here. There she is. There's Cece. So if you guys have any questions, just put in the comments and we will do our best to answer all of them. And of course, if you are up for it, all the other confidence conversations that I was able to tape and save, or record and save, are in the feed. So we had Dagmar, who is here watching today. She is a personal coach, a life coach, a leadership coach, and her conversation was amazing. So Cece, let me know if you're able to join, and we will get started. So if any of you guys have questions now, you can put the questions in now. That way we can be sure to get to them. So anything that has to do with combining beauty or beauty rituals with spirituality, with authenticity. Let me see if she's... Let me see. Okay, Cece, so let me see if I can go live with, let me see and see if that works. Liz, I see you. I'm so glad you're here. Hi.
Oh my gosh. Okay,
It's
this is exciting.
I know, I'm so happy to talk to you. I've been telling everyone about you, and I just can't wait to jump in. So I did your intro, and even as I say these things, like combining beauty and spirituality and authentically connect, it's like, it sounds like so larger than life. It sounds so woo-woo and out there. And it's like,
yeah,
what is that? What are you even talking about? What are even these words? And so it's really not, though, right? Like, you're going to distill it down to every day in ways that you can actually do this and that it makes sense. So
right. So I think when people think of spirituality, they think of so many different things because it really is so personal. When I started to kind of delve into how I connect my spirituality to my craft, because I do this all day, every day, and it can feel like, what is the purpose of like what I do? I started to really connect it with when people come to get their hair cut, for instance, or when they come to get their makeup done. It's because for some reason they feel like where they're at is just not good enough, right? So they want that little extra push or that little extra bit of confidence to be able to go out into the world and be seen the way that they feel or the way that they want to feel, right? And I think that so much of beauty is a ritual, just like there's so many rituals in religion and in lots of different sects of spirituality. I actually brought out some of my talismans. I have like my little crystal on. I also have my grandmother's rosary with me. And these are all things that I think ultimately, I mean, this is just a chain and a piece of metal, right? But it has meaning because you give it meaning, because you give it power. And when you do that, and when you go through these rituals of like lighting incense or lighting a candle or holding onto a crystal, you are garnering its power that you actually give it, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So when you're putting on your makeup, a lot of people would say, oh, well, you know, makeup is just for really insecure women or insecure people. And I don't see it that way. I see it as an armor. It's if you put on your makeup and you're maybe putting on a layer so that you can face the world a little better and a little bit more confident. When you're going in for a haircut, I mean, we were talking a little bit about it at the shop the other day, which is your hair holds a lot of history. And so even on a scientific level, right, it's got your DNA, it's got how healthy you are. It can, it basically has all of your genetic code in it.
Right.
And so
it's very much like your blood. Yeah.
It's very much like your blood. So when you think about it, if you're cutting off a piece of your hair, you're cutting off like a piece of your history. And I think that reflects a lot into when people come in for haircuts. They come in before a job interview. They come in after a traumatic event. Sometimes it'll be right after a breakup or after a death in the family. And they want to do something so drastic. They're like, I want to dye it bleach blonde. They want to go red. They want to shave it. They want to do crazy things with it. And you see it so much. I mean, I know that you for sure, being in fashion, also experience this, right? Because like in fashion, when people are seeing like a drastic change, fashion changes, right? You know, that's when you get like the mini skirt. And like people were just like, you know, it kind of came in tandem with women's liberation.
No, it's always a reflection of what's going on socially, for sure. I mean, it goes in tandem with trends and what's going on socially. And I also want to get into your knowledge of history and makeup, and how even men have used it in the past. And so before we get into that, let's circle back and kind of try to hit this checklist that we have here of all the knowledge that you have about. So when you talk about, because it's
a
like
checklist of my
much.
knowledge, I love it.
I know, it's like so much, and so in order to kind of like get a good grasp on this, so when you say combining beauty and spirituality, right? So when I hear that, it's kind of like what you said. It's who we want to be on the inside, making sure that that's reflected on the outside, and not in a superficial way, because we're not here for the BS superficial, just, you know, oh, I want to look good, I'm vain. It's more than that, right? It's and you're saying like you can really, what kind of beauty rituals do you use, or can you have examples for everyone watching that they can manifest, so that use it as manifestation? First of all, when you say manifest, what do you mean by that?
So when I say manifest, when I say you want to manifest something in your life, it's something that you're dreaming of, right? Whether it's, I really want this job, or I want so-and-so's attention, or I want just to be friendlier and likable and have more friends, like those kinds of things. Those are basic things people want. And I think that sometimes, you know, the way that we present ourselves in the world, sometimes we don't have a lot of control over it, right? I think that's like a big conversation now in terms of identity, is sometimes you don't have a lot of control over what people will see you as. For instance, like I'm Latina, I look extremely white, you know, so in people's perception of that will never, like, it'll never change, but at least I can present a friendlier attitude or face, or I can do a harder look and put my armor on, right? And say like, I'm going to be tougher and less approachable. I definitely do that in job interviews. I definitely put on my more serious clothes, my more serious makeup. So I don't know. I think a very basic beauty ritual that I do is a beauty bath. So what I'll do is I'll fill the tub with water and I'll drop in some essential oils or some different kinds of salts, which are good for purification. And it's good on like an actual like molecular level. Like it helps get the crap out of your skin, you know? So those are things that it like the properties of the things that you're putting in the bath water have actual benefits and also spiritual benefits. And then you can make it pretty with like rose, if you want to put in like rose petals for love. It's a way to relax yourself and put yourself into a mental mindset of being able to meditate on what you want and how you're going to achieve it, right? So I think that that's the major part of manifesting that sometimes people miss, is it's not just hoping it's going to happen, but figuring out how you're going to make it happen. And usually when I do this, I put on some music or a meditation. Sometimes I do guided meditations, which are really helpful. I will light a candle to give me a visual focus. And these are all ways to turn your mind off from like I got to do the dishes. I got to write that email, to be able to really focus on how you're going to do the thing that you say you want to do.
Right. So you take the time where that beauty ritual, whether it be a bath, to really go inward and start, like you said, not just hoping, not just wishing, but going inward and using that time, quiet down, stop the noise, and start really thinking, getting clear to yourself about what it is that you want, why you want it, how you're going to achieve it. And so are there other beauty rituals that you have in mind, besides a bath, that can kind of work the same way?
It's really all of them. All the rituals are a ritual. So if you're getting ready in the morning, I think that it's important to be purposeful and with intention of saying, okay, I'm putting on my makeup, you know, and instead of doing the same cut crease or the same smoky eye or the same just eyeliner, quick eyeliner mascara that you always do.
You have to, I don't know anything about anything, so I'm like,
oh my God,
fun.
I'll send you some pictures. I'll send you some inspo.
Keep going.
Yeah, but you know, think about who you're going to see that day and what you want to present outwardly as. Like, do you want to look like a don't fuck with me kind of person, or do you want to look really friendly, or do you want to look youthful and cheery, or do you want to look, you know, like how are you manipulating your image to both serve your purpose and serve you and what you're trying to do in the world that day. Makeup is so, I want to use the word transient. It's like it comes and goes and it shifts and it changes daily. Hair, I think, is more of a commitment. And so when people come in for a haircut, I've actually started adopting this in my hair cutting, is trying to talk to people about how they want to feel on a daily basis. So usually hairdressers will use language like, you know, what is your routine, right? So they'll be like, what is your routine? Do you style your hair? Do you blow it out? Do you just towel dry it and go? Like, what do you do? But I think that now I'm realizing that a better way to approach that is like, how do you want to feel, right? And so if they're going, well, I want to feel like I feel really sad and I want to feel freer, or I want to feel more romantic, or I want to feel like I feel like I'm too hard. You know, some people will say that to me, especially as women, as they get older, they'll be like, I feel like I look hard because they've been wearing the same jet black hair since they were 20.
Right.
And now they're 40 or 50. And black hair does tend to have, where it can be like a very striking look early on in life. It can be a very harsh look later on in life.
Right.
And so they're realizing that the way that they look isn't the way that, that they feel inside. And I know that, some women I've talked to also kind of do that with their makeup. Is what made them feel really beautiful some years ago isn't quite working for them now, and they need to find a new way to express themselves, you know, outwardly in the world. And I think that mostly, I think it's most powerful when you're using it as, for me personally, I feel like it's most powerful for me when I'm using it as armor. And I feel like that's a big part of my personal journey, is being able to take clothes and looks on and off, to be able to put myself in the mindset of being like, I'm tough as shit and I'm gonna like go and take over the world, or I'm, you know,
Well,
I'm
and I
feeling
love that,
softer.
because I love that taking the time for yourself, when you're doing your hair, when you're doing your makeup. Something that I've learned as I've worn more makeup as I get older and older is, instead of when I sit down to do that and pointing out all the things that are wrong that I'm trying to cover up or that I'm trying to change, I've really been really conscious and intentional now about shutting down that negative talk, that critical voice,
Yes.
just shutting it the hell down. Like really just saying, okay, like, yeah, I'm getting older and I don't look like what I used to look like, but stop judging yourself, stop being so hard on yourself. And
Right.
it has really taken that time, because you figure if you do that every day, you're doing your hair every day, your makeup every day, and that time, instead of being a negative time to tear yourself down and break yourself down, it becomes a time to manifest, like
Right.
you said, a time to invest in yourself, manifest what you're going to accomplish that day. And it's made a huge difference to the start of the day. And
Oh, totally.
as you know, and like a lot of the people watching right now today, they know that that's what I have been about when it comes to clothes. Like, it's not about, and it's kind of like you said, when people come to you to get their hair done, and usually the hairstylist with the, they start with the questions like, well, how do you usually do it? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I like that you are changing it up. You're disrupting that cycle, because we're not about how do you usually do it. Because if you do what you usually do, you're going to get the same results.
Result.
You're
Yeah.
not going to transform from the inside out. You're not going to kind of become a new you, like
Right.
the 2.0 version. And so I'm so happy to hear you say that you're disrupting that cycle when you do hair, when you do people's makeup, because it's so important to help them. It sounds like you're helping them break out of what they want to break out of, to connect who they are authentically inside with what they're presenting to the world and how they see themselves too.
Yeah, I think you said so many important things. First of all, when you're saying like I'm getting older and I feel like doing the same thing, or have a lot of negative self-talk. I mean, style is so ageless. You can be rocking at 80, like, and we
Like
see it on
Iris.
Instagram now too. There's so many, mature influencers, and they have such amazing style, probably a lot better than my style at 35. So it's like putting some of like our younger people to shame.
I
They're
know.
so confident and they look amazing. And I'm going, wow, I wonder what it's like to like get up in the morning and want to style myself that way. I know there's always inhibitors, right? Where it's like, hey, you've got kids and you have 5 minutes to get ready, or
Right.
or you have a corporate job and you can't dye your hair pink. But it's my job to find ways that you can. So there's lots of really great products out there that you can put in just for the weekend, just to be able to experiment with your look, and wear it to a party or wear it to a date. Those are all things that you can do if you can't really change your look. But I think that even if you're doing that corporate job and you've got like 5 kids, if you're taking the extra 2 minutes to get up in the morning, light some incense, make a cup of coffee, put on your face mask or your moisturizer in a really ritualistic way where you're giving yourself a nice face massage, that you're stimulating the blood and the lymph in your face to be able to promote really good cell turnover, really good collagen production, and that it's something that you're doing for yourself. and it makes you feel good about going into the world, then that's what you should do. And I know a lot of people will go, well, massaging my face doesn't make me feel good, or I don't like it. There's always going to be naysayers, but you find that thing that makes you feel good, and you go for it. I think that a lot of people dismiss beauty as just a really vain thing that holds no real power. But if that was true, we wouldn't have done it for thousands and thousands of years.
Right. And so I love that you share a lot of that history of beauty ritual, beauty product on your Instagram page. I love that. And I think that's, so you can share some of that, like how that has come into play now, like for thousands of years, like, yeah, why and how have some of the things kind of come into play now? What things are we doing now that they used to do for certain reasons?
So I like muted myself. Sorry. I feel that, so I started getting into history because I was in a slump in my career, and I felt, like I said, like there wasn't a lot of purpose around what I was doing. And I started doing some research just on a whim about beauty history and like what it means to different cultures, because a lot of times makeup is deeply grounded in ritual, in spiritual ritual. Like you're getting ready for a wedding. A lot of the old traditional makeups that people would wear to weddings have a lot to do with protection and ways to connect to different deities and different kinds of like good luck symbolisms, right? There's a lot of makeup that has to do with kind of opening your third eye and things like that. You see a lot of,
I love that. Yeah,
like the yogis will wear the stripe here. In India, I feel like that's something that I haven't fully explored it, to be very honest. Like I haven't fully explored every meaning, because I know different bindis have different meanings. But those are all things that I was like, wow, that's so fascinating. And the deeper I went into it, the more I realized that the way that we perceive beauty products and the way that they're marketed to us have a big history, or have a big story about what's happening in the world. So you'll see, in the 1800s, it was a lot of negative advertising. It's like, you're ugly and you need this cream because otherwise your husband will leave you. Like you got to have this thing.
What?
And then come like the 1940s, it was really about boosting morale for both the women and the men that were at war, having a way for women to feel better about themselves and still feel really feminine, even though they had to go take these factory jobs that were usually a man's job, and to have men kind of look forward to seeing their lovely wife, right? So
right. So combining the feminine, masculine,
like combining the kind of what's happened, like the current events with how you sell product, but also the way that people perceive what they're doing. Because the act of putting on makeup, again, is just a little bit of paint and a little bit of powder. But if you're putting it on with the purpose, which is to boost my self-esteem, or to make my husband attracted to me, or to get that job, then all of a sudden it has a different meaning. And I think that that's actually something really special that has been gifted to women mostly, until, and we've talked a little bit about how makeup has not been exclusively a woman's thing. It's kind of died like in the last 100 years. Like I feel like it's not that accepted, but it's becoming accepted again.
Right.
Thanks to Instagram and thanks to, some wonderful companies that really support men who like to express themselves with makeup. But yeah, like I don't think we've seen it since the Victorian era.
The Victorian,
for men wearing makeup. I mean, heavily powdered wigs, or a whitish pallor, to their face, and like it goes back literally to the beginning of time. I mean, ancient Egyptians also wore makeup. It was probably one of the more equal cultures that existed, is ancient Egypt. Like women and men had pretty equal power, and it's also seen in the way that they adorn themselves. The way that they treated their hair, the way that they treated their bodies and their faces. And then also again in the Roman period, which was less equal, but they would really take care of their body with different essential oils, and oil baths. And, you know, the Roman baths are a huge thing, right? If you've ever been to England, like you'll be able to visit them. And there are actually these historical reenactors who will show you how they prepared the cosmetics by grinding up like different minerals and different powders and different berries and things like that to make their makeup that they would then apply with, like, very ritualistically. They actually had women called cosmetae, which is like the ancient word for beauty slave. So that's where we get the word cosmetologist. So, you know, that to me, like, it's crazy that all these years later we're still using a word derived from that place in society where there was a person dedicated to beauty for the upper class, you know, and it still is that way. And I don't know how much I like the word slave attached to it, but I am kind of a slave to it. So.
Right. Well, that's something that's interesting to me. So where do you find that balance to being a slave to beauty, to being a slave to the makeup, to as opposed to using it in a positive way, you know, using it not necessarily just to cover up your insecurities or to make you feel more confident, but something that kind of transcends a little bit more, covering up or boosting? Like, is there any sort of balance that we can find to think of it in more positive terms? You know, I kind of like, it kind of harkens back to like the war makeup. That's something I really loved about one of your posts, was you talking about men in makeup and using it for war. And I never really put that together. That is just that thought process. It's like, oh yeah, like,
because you don't think of it as makeup, because people call it something, they call it camouflage, right? But how many products
or war
use a slightly different word or a slightly different color packaging to sell the same thing to different people? And I think ultimately it's makeup. I mean, if you're putting dark things under your eyes to go play football, that harkens back to the ancient Egyptians that put kohl around their eyes to shield themselves from the harsh sun, right? And it had a lot of medicinal properties too, to help with eye infections and things like that, which were common at the time. So, you know, when you start looking at makeup this way, in war makeup, it's a way to camouflage, it's a way to sink into your surroundings, because that is what you want to present to the outside world, because it's just another way to ornament yourself to suit your needs at the time, right? So I feel like makeup always gets lumped into beauty, but makeup has a lot of different uses. Like I said, it can be spiritual and used in religious practice. It can be used in war. It can be used in all these different modes. But what you're saying about being a slave to it and feeling like you have to do it, like I have to get up in the morning and put on like 10 tons of makeup just to be able to like go out into the world, I think that's super personal. You don't have to, is the truth. You don't have to do that. And honestly, most people will not really care, you know, like they won't really care whether or not you're wearing makeup. It is more for you, I think, is being able to say, I feel like I look good. Like I feel like I can look in the mirror and know that when I speak, they're not looking at that pimple, or they're not looking at the fact that my brow.
Oh, she froze. So for you guys who've just joined a little bit more recently, we are talking to Cece Anderson. She is a hair and makeup professional. She also is much of a hair and makeup beauty history buff. And so we are here talking with her. And Cece, I love
my setup.
I love that you that you say no, you don't have to. And I've said that maybe we need to start thinking of it like, when you sit down to do these rituals, start using it as a way to manifest what you want, go inward, take that time for yourself personally, shut down that critical voice again.
Right.
So instead of saying, oh, I'm doing this because of how I want other people to perceive me, maybe we change that voice that we're hearing to say, I'm doing this for me. I'm doing this because, you know, it just made me think like, if we can start complimenting ourselves when we do that, like you know, I like this about my face, so I'm going to
Right.
accentuate that. I like that. I have smile lines because you know, I've laughed a lot with my friends, or I like that my eyes are this color or that color. Like change that inner voice. And I think that would get us a lot closer to connecting who we are with what we're reflecting on the inside. And so to circle back, wait, someone's asking a question here. Let me see what it says. Do you have any advice on how to not let the consumerist aspect of makeup and beauty products take over for yourself personally?
Oh yeah. I'm a big believer in like fuck marketing. Like I I mean, I love shopping at
Which
Best
is
Friends.
why we're friends.
I feel like when I came into your shop, I felt the first thing I noticed is I love the way you put vintage together because it's not a way that I've seen marketed. Like I haven't seen your style somewhere else, but it looks so good and it felt really authentic. And so I was like, it's not a costume, right? It's and not to say anything about people that like to stay within one decade or something like that. Like I know that that's a trend and it's a look, but I really love the way that it looked kind of like pieced together, just kind of eclectic style. And I felt like you were aware of the trends, but not adhering to them. And I feel like that's very much my take on things too, is I'm aware of the trends. I
Right.
know that cut creases and highlighter and this and that, and like a lot of bling. I know that that is like the thing. It's not my thing. So um, I think you got to be really aware of like what resonates with you. If you see something and you're like, I feel like that's kind of ugly, then I mean, like if you really want to try it just to see if you can wear it, go for it. If it works for you, do it. You know, if it doesn't work for you, leave it.
Right.
I I think there's a lot of pressure to buy things because it's supposed to change your life. I've seen so many brands. I can't avoid talking shit about this brand, but there's one particular brand that was so like, you know, fresh face, clean beauty. The products do nothing. I mean, like literally nothing. It's mostly water based. And to anybody that has less than perfect skin, those products don't work. And I feel like a lot of people will know which brand I'm talking about. If you do, just call it out in the comments. Um, and you know, for me, that was so aggravating because I was like, you're selling a lifestyle that your product will not help these people achieve. So I would say figure out what your needs are in terms of beauty. You know, do you need full coverage? Or do you have bad skin? You know, are you kind of dry under here? Okay, maybe you need to find something more moisturizing and just look for that product and then stick to that product until it doesn't serve you anymore and then
Right.
pick another one.
Right. Like
Yeah.
don't just hop around based on the current ads, or, you know, because if we do that, we're constantly, we're not going to be in touch with what it is that we need. It's okay to just find what works for you and stick with that. And if you just have questions that you cannot answer on your own, DMCC.
Yeah. I love it. I get people, you know, because I post so much about vintage stuff and history and things like that. I now have people emailing me or DMing me pictures of their grandma's
Mm-hmm.
um, makeup and going, do you know what this is? You know what era this is from? It's kind of wonderful because we get to figure it out together, or sometimes I can just answer for them, which is also really
Right.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah, it gets to be really niche, but a very fun community. So I'm
Yeah.
very thankful for that.
Well, I love that you came on. I'm so grateful that you've given us some ideas at how to connect all the dots and kind of do what we promote here in the shop, which is to connect with who you are on the inside. As CC says, like F like what's going on. You know, you don't
Yeah.
have to adhere to what is being marketed. And there are people out there who are interested in helping you look authentically, connect with who you really are, who you really want to be, who can help you manifest and use these rituals and this time in your life to invest in yourself And so I love that. And I thank you so much for being here. So
Thank
guys,
you
if you
for
have
having me.
any other questions for Cece, Cece, can you let people know the best way to get in touch with you if they want to support what you're doing, make an appointment with you, possibly go to the new hair salon you might be opening,
Oh,
all those
this
things.
is
So
so up in the air.
I
I'm
know.
still figuring that part out. I'd love to open a salon. I'm always looking. I'm always looking for creative people to collaborate with. Maybe do a pop up. So if you guys have an idea, DM me. Um, you can reach me obviously through Instagram, through DMs. If not, you can shoot me an email. You can also shoot me an email through my website, ccanderson.com. But I wanted to say one last thing to the consumerist piece was, you know, we're kind of facing a dilemma now with how much we've created in the last couple decades. It's just like the consumerism is out of control. Makeup brands launch several different releases in a year, where before it was just one or two. And now it's like every 3 months we have a new product. There's so much waste. I would be very careful to constantly be buying. You know, there's a lot of really great brands now that are gearing towards sustainable makeup. And so like a lot of my vintage cases, I'll show you guys one right now. So like something like this, which is a little brass vintage case, and you can open it up. It actually still has some of the makeup inside. You can actually probably find something that fits that and replace the old makeup with new makeup, or you can outfit the tray with a magnet and create your own palette, which is a really good way to create like sustainable makeup palettes. And other than that, there's a lot of brands like Mayo and My Zaffo, which are two Canadian brands, B corporations, that create specifically sustainable makeup systems. And so I think that that's probably the future. And much like vintage clothing and upcycling clothing, I think that we're going to see a return to that. Things that are better made, last longer, have less, but last longer.
Right. I love that. Maybe we can talk about doing a little tutorial about how to customize a palette for yourself, and
oh my gosh, how fun. That would be so fun.
Yeah, that would be fun. So thank you again. And guys, definitely follow Cece, get in touch with her. And then join us next week. We will be same day, same time, Thursday at 11:30. We will be talking to Yaron DeWitt. He is a third level QHHT past life regressionist.
Wow, that's so cool.
Oh my God, it's amazing. I have had a session with him, so we will get into all the past lives and how you can use that information about your past to get more out of your present and to heal your future and to get past personal blocks and patterns and find your life purpose and all those things. So I look forward to
and your tea thing this Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, so guys, yeah. So check the feed. We are doing an event this Saturday, and we would love to see all of you at that dessert event. So Cece, as always, you are amazing. You're an amazing woman, and thank you so much for sharing your knowledge. And we will talk to you guys next week.
All right, great.
Bye,
Thank
everyone.
you for joining in. Bye.